Hey everybody, welcome back to Tom's Movie Channel. I'm Tom Hunyadi. Thank you for everybody for subscribing. That's been subscribing the last couple weeks. Thank you for joining me as I talk about some of my favorite films and films that I'm discovering. And the film I'm talking about today is one that I've discovered recently, and well, I'll tell you what a film it is. And we're going to be talking about the slasher genre, okay? And we're going to be talking about this little film right here, 1980s Maniac. Okay, so the slasher horror genre is not one that I'm a big fan of. However, as I'm getting older, I'm getting more and more curious about horror films, slasher films, and some I've really enjoyed, and others, just left to the wayside. But I do remember watching Friday the 13th, most of it as a kid, probably before I was 10. I do remember watching Nightmare on Elm Street in my mid-teen years, and then finally, I would say probably when I was like 34, 35, I finally watched Halloween on Halloween night and was kind of disappointed, but that's another story. Anyways, today's film that I'm going to be talking about, Maniac, and this film was directed by William Lustig, who before this was making adult films, and the film he made before Maniac actually helped make this film. The movie stars Joe Spinell, who you know from the first two Rocky films and the first two Godfather films. This was his like big starring role. He and the director were big horror fans, and they wanted to see what they can do by making a horror film. And boy, if you want to make a horror film, what do? You get the great Tom Savini to do your makeup and your all your blood and guts and all that stuff. And what a job he did! The man's a legend in the horror genre. So, but this film, Frank, he's not all there, right? He's deranged. He's insane. He's got mommy issues, if you will, a little crazy, and he loves his mannequins. Okay, and we're gonna talk about that soon. But the movie opens on a beach. We see a couple lying there. The girlfriend is getting cold. She asks the boyfriend to build a fire. Okay, and while the boyfriend is gathering sticks, the woman is killed, and then a few moments later, the man is killed as well. And then we see our lead Frank wake up screaming as he is dreaming this happening. Okay, as we see Frank, we see that he's living in an apartment by himself. We see that he's sleeping next to a mannequin. Um, and we're going to see more and more mannequins as the as the movie goes on. And I gotta tell you, it's really a little Taxi Driver-ish in some ways. As a matter of fact, there's a funny line where Joe Frank's character goes, "You talking to me?" And it's a little Norman Bates in here as well as I said, he has mommy issues. He did not have a good history with his mother, and there's scenes in here where he's actually dreaming of his mom punishing him and him begging to not get locked in the closet. So there you go. So now we know a little bit of the backstory. We know a little bit, why he is the way he is. um, Frank is a serial killer. Okay. um, his first kill that we see when he leaves his apartment, um, he approaches a prostitute. They go up to her favorite room in the hotel, and he goes on to kill her, and he also scalps her. And we're also going to learn that he takes those scalps and places them on mannequins that he brings home with him as well. So yeah, pretty disturbing. And I'll tell you, the kill scenes in this film, some of them are pretty intense. And as I said, Tom Savini does a great job with with the blood and the knife work, and it looks pretty real. Not that I know what cutting a person actually looks like, but it looks pretty real to me. Um, so yeah, there's that. The film was made very quickly. It was 350K to make. It was kind of guerrilla style filmmaking, as they didn't have the money to get permits. So they shot stuff really quickly, and they got out of Dodge to go and film the next scene. Actually, the the hotel that they filmed this first kill at, there was actually police detectives that showed up, because as they were investigating an actual murder that took place at that hotel. So really crazy story, and that's one of the great things about this Blu-ray is the commentary and the special features, which will talks about the making of the film. Okay, so then we have another scene where Frank goes out and he follows this couple that leave a disco. Uh, Disco boy, played by Tom Savini, he's behind the wheel, and he takes the girl he's with to a spot where they can make out. They go in the back seat, and then we see we see Frank as he's staring into the car, and then the girl sees him. She screams and begs Disco Boy to leave. So they get into the front seat, or Tom does, and he is killed but with a gun. And I'll tell you, this was a interesting. I've never been a big fan of seeing anybody's head get blown off in a movie or run over or anything, but Tom does a great job with the effect. Okay, so he had a mold of himself. He put in used or food in the head, and then fake blood, and then shoots into the car, and the head explodes, and it just everything is everywhere. You see blood go on the face of the woman, and she screams, and then he kills the woman as well. So pretty intense scene, but done very well. As I said, Tom Savini just does a masterful job with some of these kills. Okay, next scene, we see we see Frank stalk a nurse into the subway, and she knows that she's being stalked. She's getting very nervous. She's trying to put money in the machine so she can enter the subway. She finally does. She gets to the train. She can't get in. It takes off. So she runs, and she eventually hides in the restroom. Now, this was for me. This was one of the most intense parts of the film, and I could really feel myself getting nervous as I was watching this scene. And so obviously, Frank, he goes into the restroom and tries to find her. He's checking every stall except for naturally the last stall, which is where she is. Okay, so Frank leaves, and the woman thinks, you know, thinks she's okay. A sigh of relief. He's gone. She's safe now. So she's walking very slowly, looking into the stalls as she passes them, and then arrives to the sink with the mirror, washes her face, and as she comes up, then you see Frank behind her, and he kills her. So yeah, that was one of the more intense scenes in the movie, and boy, that really shook me up a little bit. So, as I said again, I'm not the biggest fan of slasher films, but this was actually really entertaining. So in an earlier scene, we see Frank in a park, okay, and he's photographed, and as the woman leaves taking more photographs, he goes up to her bag. He finds out her name and where she lives. And then after the subway scene, we see Frank knocking at her door, and he's like, this is Frank. You took a picture of me. Can I come in? Whatever. So she lets him in. She shows him the picture, and they become actually, friendly with each other. And they're talking about going out. Going out on to dinner. They talk about going out to the movies. So they go to dinner together. They're getting along, and they're building a relationship. And you seem to think that, okay, maybe Frank can get out of this madness that he's in, but oh no. So later on in the film, Frank takes Anna to the cemetery so they can pay their respects to his mother. Well, Frank ends up attacking her, and she escapes. Um, and then, as Frank's chasing after her, she's able to take a shovel and slash his arm, and he's able to, or she's able to, get away from him. Now, while he's lying there, he hears, his kind of mother calling out to him. He goes back to her grave, and then you see arms come out and part of a body come out to strangle Frank, and it's his mother. So again, it's that was a pretty intense scene as well. Now Frank goes back to his apartment, and throughout the movie he's bringing, as he kills women and scalps them, he's bringing these mannequins home so he can dress them up with their clothes, and he then nails the scalp to their heads. He's lying down in his bed, and then he starts hallucinating all these mannequins coming to life, and they start attacking him. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what they do, and it is pretty grotesque. So if people who have seen the movie, they know what happens. But anyways, when he wakes up the next day, the cops come. They see him lying on the bed, and for whatever reason, they leave, and we think it's over, but something happens, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody in case you want to watch this movie. So, again, Maniac. It's quite an intense film. If you have seen it, let me know what you think of it. If you are interested, I'd say check it out. I mean, especially if you're a fan of if you're a horror and the slasher genres. Now, as I said, this film was made for 350K, and it made 10 million, so it actually did make money. However, it didn't get into a lot of theaters. The film wasn't submitted to the MPAA, so it was released unrated. It didn't get a rating. Later on, it did get cut down, and it was given an R rating. Um, I've been told that a remake was made in 2012 starring Elijah Wood. I don't know if I'll check that out, but maybe I will someday. Now, we talked about the special features on the Blu-ray. Again, this is from Blue Underground. There's, like I said, fantastic features here. There's 2 audio commentaries on here. There's interviews with Savini, the interviews with Lusting. There's Caroline Monroe as well. A lot going on here. So this is definitely a worthy Blu-ray set to pick up. I mean, anything you want to learn about Maniac is here on this 2 Blu-ray set. Okay, so that's Maniac in a nutshell. Tell me what you guys think if you've seen it, and check it out. All right, I'll see you soon. Take care.